Hello everyone, my name is alecluisgoss. Welcome back to my chop series where I make a homemade chop, talk about inspiration behind the chop, how you can use it in your playing, and yeah, this is chop number 2. I call this one the roller coaster. I came up with this one because I've been thinking a lot about building and how to end builds, because I've been playing a ton of worship music lately because I've been mostly playing with this new church that I've been playing for since I moved to California. And yeah, every worship song has a build. And so since you're building 5 or 6 times between each song, or even like 2 or 3 times a song, you run out of ideas really quickly. And I find myself defaulting a lot to just doing this. Which in and of itself gets really boring, but what makes that even doubly boring is if you do that and then just go straight into a chorus without a really cool fill or something. It's so boring, and I can't stand it. And so, which is why I've been thinking of fills to do right before that big chorus that the band is building up to. Because I like to think about it, like if you're gonna cheat on your diet, which I do probably weekly, you want to go all out. You don't just want to go for like a bowl of ice cream. You want to get some nuts in there. You want to get some chocolate sauce. You want to make this big. Why, if you're gonna cheat, why not go all out? And I think this is the same thing with building in a worship song. Is if you're gonna build to this big chorus, why not go all out? Don't leave anything on the table. It's already boring enough that you're building for the 3rd time in this song, and you've been building for 32 measures. You got to come up with something big so that everyone knows that this is the biggest part of the song. There's nothing bigger than this. This is the climax of the song. Everything else after this is just the falling action. And so that's why I came up with this chop right here that I call the roller coaster. And I call it the roller coaster for a couple reasons, because it makes you feel like you're on a roller coaster. And the way we get that feeling is by 2 things here. First is that we got triplets. We got a lot of triplets. And triplets are really good at giving you that feeling of like swaying, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so that is just going to give you a natural swinging feeling. The second thing we got going on that gives you that swingy feeling is the fact that we're going in between toms. Like so put those 2 together, you go big. Let's get started with this chop. Alright, so first things first, we can put this into 3 groupings of 6 and then 1 grouping of 4. So we have 5 on the floor tom with a kick in between, because it's kind of awkward to go from the low tom to the high tom, by like reaching your hand over, especially if we're going to play this fast. And so for the second grouping, we got 2 on the high tom followed by a kick going into 3 notes on the floor tom. And from here, this is probably the hardest transition, going from 3 notes on the bottom to 3 notes on the top. And to basically get good at that, you can just do like the 3s exercise, which is basically just doing 3s between the toms, and that's a really good exercise for playing in triplets and also just getting good at going around the drum kit. And then in the last grouping of 6, we have 3 on the high tom and then 2 on the floor tom and then a kick, because we're going to transition from the floor tom to the snare drum. I love fills that start in a certain subdivision and then end with a different subdivision like this one, because whatever you do on the last part of the subdivision always makes it sound that much more out of nowhere. And so 4 snare hits on their own isn't that crazy, but when you preface it with all these rolling tom notes and then just go bop, 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 it makes it sound so much bigger, because it's surprising. You're not expecting it. You're just like feeling all these low rolls in the toms, and all of a sudden you're just like bop, bop, bop. Like, that's what we're going for here, is we want to go super big and literally punch your audience in the face 4 times with these snare hits. And another way we can really get those to stand out is by crescendoing through what we're doing on the toms. So let's also keep that in mind, is that we're still building in a sense, but just in a shorter amount of time. So we're going to want to crescendo starting on the toms, and then all the way up, and then just 4 of the loudest snare hits you can do, which I'm not going to do because I'm in an apartment, but that's what we're going for here. So I'm going to play this a couple times slow and then a couple times fast, and basically I'm going to pretend like we're in the middle of a build. So I'm going to start by just like building on the snare and the ride for 2 measures, and then have 1 measure where I do kind of a build with a snare drum that kind of like indicates we're going into the final build, which is a nice hint that you can use if you're playing in a worship band, is let them know, hey, on the very last one, I'm going to switch to this or this, which is what I do sometimes. So I'm going to switch to triplets on the snare drum to build, and then I'm going to go into the So yeah, guys, that was chop number 2, the roller coaster. And make sure to like, subscribe, email me if you like these videos, and I will see you next time.